Hi, in this video I will talk about Wunderlist's system folders. There are many system folders that Wunderlist provides out of the box. I will explain each and every system folder and what is the purpose of that folder. Just so you know, there is a separate video on user folders. Now, before we start, let me explain what system folders are. Now, system folders, as the name indicates, are provided to you by Wunderlist itself, meaning you don't need to create. In fact, you're not allowed to create a system folder. You cannot delete them. You cannot create a subfolder under them. You cannot rename them, etc. So all the management related work of system folder is within Wunderlist. You cannot do that yourself. One more thing I wish to mention is that against each folder, as you can see, within parentheses there is a count, and that count is the number of listings within that folder. Now, for the purpose of discussion of this video, I am focusing on the folders as displayed under the listings tab. Now, if your listings tab is not open like this, you can open it by clicking on listings manage. And you see the tab is now open, and on left hand side displays the folders. Now, if for some and to enable the folder counts, you can click on this checkbox to enable or disable the counts. Now, as you can see, for some folders I do not see the counts anymore, so I can expand this folders area like this. And since for the purpose of this discussion of this video, I do not need this right hand side, the simple listing editor, I can hide it by clicking on this, so I can have maximize my grid area now. Okay, so the very first folder under system folders is all listings folder. Now, as the name indicates, all listings folder contains every single listing you have. Now, the count in any folder is subject to the site I have selected and the account eBay account I have selected. Now, in my case, as you can see, site is all, account is all, and thus all listings shows 20. However, if I change my site to say UK site, now you see there are only two, all listings show the count of 2. See, the grid itself does not change unless I click on the folder. So if I click it again, all listings will now show matching the site and the account. The count, the count itself changed, but in order to refresh the grid, I have to click on the folder again. So just something to be aware of. Okay, so going back to all again, clicking on all listings, you should see there are 20 of those. It says 0 of 20, which effectively means I have not selected anything, and there are 20 in the grid. So if I select, for example, I'm selecting this, clicking on it selects this. So you say 1 out of 20, press Control key, then click with the mouse, you say 2 of 20, now you say 3 of 20, and so on. So you can select multiple simply by holding the Control key down and click on the mouse. And here you can see how many get selected, 3 out of 20. Okay, moving on to folders. So all listings, as we said, it's 20 listings for all sites and across all accounts. The next one is unarchived. So there is a concept in Wunderlist that you can archive your listings. And archive simply what that means is puts into a separate bucket. And since they may be very, very old listings, you don't really want to see, you don't want to typically search on them. And therefore, you just kind of take them out of your site. So that's a bucket where you can move your very, very old listings to instead of deleting them. So the ones that you have not yet archived or Wunderlist is not automatically archived are in this folder unarchived. Now, as I said, that Wunderlist can also do automatic archiving. Now, how does Wunderlist do that? Automatic archive, you have actually a preference for that. To see that, click on Tools, Options, click on your preferences, the very first choice, and then scroll it down if you have to, and look for the absolute last section, which is miscellaneous. So I'm clicking on miscellaneous. And the option we are talking about is this one, auto archive old listings. As you can see, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 different choices that gives it to you. The very first choice is none, which obviously means that Wunderlista will not do any auto archiving. The other three options, title, SKU, and both title and SKU, what do they imply is when a listing ends, then Wunderlister will try to match another completed listing whose title or SKU or both the title and the SKU match the listing that is just ended. And if it does find any such listing, that those listings will be auto archived. So basically, it tries to keep the ended listings folder neat and clean. So you don't see, for example, if you have been relisting a specific listing, that listing may have in today's date may be there 5 different times. Based on the title, if you look at it, it probably will be 5 times or 6 times or 10 times, depending on how many times you relisted it in the past. Now, typically, you don't want to see all those previous listings. You are mostly interested in the absolute last version, and this will help you do that automatically. Now, go back to our listings tab and continue our discussion of folders. So the next one is work in progress folder. Now, what happens is when you first time create, let's say, a brand new listing and save it, that listing will appear in work in progress folder. As I said, you save it, which means Wunderlister gives you the option to save the listing without actually sending it to eBay. You don't have to do that, and that listing will appear in working. Now that listing may not be complete. For example, you may not have entered a description, you may not have attached pictures, or you may not have completed in other respects. So it is still work in progress. Now over time you start filling in the details, and at some point in time you feel that all the information you wanted to enter for a listing has been done, and you may even want to verify the data of that listing against eBay, and let's say the verification is successful. So let's say you are work in progress folder contains 500 listings, and out of which 5 have you completed in all respects, have verified with eBay, no errors found. So where do you move those 5 verified listings? The one option, you can submit to eBay, but you don't want to because you're not yet ready to submit. You may be waiting for eBay may have given you, for example, a deal that they will not charge you an insertion fee if you list from coming Monday to the following Sunday, and that Monday has not come yet. So you are still waiting for an appropriate time to happen before you are ready to list. So in the meantime, you have to hold such listing somewhere. This is that folder waiting to upload. So basically, you move your listings from work in progress to waiting to upload. So how do I do that? I have one listing already in work in progress, as you can see. First, I will try to do the verification by clicking on the verify button. And let's see, it's saying verifying one of one. And let's see what it says. Is it, if there is no error, it will come back saying, so you can say zero listings failed, means everything is fine. So this listing is perfect. So now I know this listing is good. It can be submitted to eBay. So what I will do is to move this to waiting to upload. The way I do that is select that listing, click on the button waiting to upload, and simply say add. So essentially you're saying the listing I have selected, add it to waiting to upload folder. Watch it out. Now you see when I clicked add, it's waiting to upload. If I click waiting to upload, that's where the title of the folder you click on is always displayed on the right here or right of this. So you see there is one listing in waiting to upload. So that's the difference between work in progress and waiting to upload folder. Submission errors. Submission error is a folder, as the name indicates, holds those listings. So like you just saw that I did a verify and the listing had no error. But what if the listing actually had a failed verification? So such a listing would appear in submission errors. For example, let me deliberately make a mistake so I can show you this feature. So what I'm going to do is to, in format and pricing, I am going to remove the price. So there is no price for a fixed price listing not having a price. I save and close. And now I'm going to verify it again with eBay. So eBay should come back and say, hey, I don't have a price. And so you see one listing failed verification. What is the error? Scroll down to the right and you see under system message column, please enter a valid price for your item. So we knew we made this error in deliberately. So submission error still says 0, but you need to refresh the counts by clicking on this refresh button. Now you see there's a submission error says 1. So, but please note that even though submission error, this listing has moved into the submission errors folder, it is still there in waiting to upload. It is not removed from its original folder wherever it was. It is still there. So submission errors is simply a collection of those listings that has some kind of an error. And if you scroll it down, the system message column would tell you what that error is. So basically we need to rectify this error before we can submit successfully to eBay. So in order to edit that listing, simply double click that listing and the previously last encountered error message will be shown at the top. You can, now we knew we have to modify the format and pricing. Go back and set the price to whatever you want to set it to. Let's say in my case I'm setting it to 50, save and close. Now that the price is correct, if I verify now, this listing should disappear from submission errors. So it's still verifying and soon it should come back saying zero listings failed verification. So everything is fine. So now if I refresh the count one more time, you say submission error says zero. There are no listings in this. Okay. The next folder, edited locally, need to sync with eBay. Now the purpose of this folder is to track those active listings that you have changed within Wunderlister but did not submit them to eBay. This is a very huge productivity booster feature we introduced a few months back actually. Now, how does that work is, for example, I have waiting to upload. Let me actually submit this to eBay. So I have an active listing. I'm submitting this to eBay. So it says number to process 1, submitting one-on-one listings. Please stand by. So could not be submitted and the reason is pictures. So I'm double clicking and out of these some pictures could not go. So I'm trying to upload those 3 pictures again. See, when I click on upload, it says 1 picture. So I will do it again. Upload. All this time it's everything is successful. Submit, save and close, and this time I submit it should go through. So still submitting that one listing that had 3 pictures could not. This time you see there are no error. Everything is okay. So if I click refresh, I have that listing in my active listings now. Now, if I have an active listing, let's say in this case, this listing has a price of 50. If I modify it, if I'm going to take and modify that listing, and let's say I change the price to 25 instead of 250, I don't have to submit. I can simply say save and close. So essentially I'm saying save this listing within Wunderlister. I'm not yet ready to submit. And why would I do that? It's simply because save and close, basically saving, is is so much faster than submitting. And submitting, because it happens obviously over the internet, Wunderlister needs to talk to eBay over the internet. It's a relatively much slower process than simply saving on my local computer. So what I would do is to collect all the changes I make during the day, and at the end of the day, before I leave my work, I will simply come to this folder, select all the listings that I have edited during the day, could be 200, 100, 500, whatever, select all of those listings and simply click on the button submit to eBay, and there it will go. So the idea of this folder is to hold on to all the listings which I have changed during the day or whatever time period, and then submit all of them to eBay in one stroke. But I will do this at a time more appropriate is when I have time to do that. So one more thing that I would like to say in this case is, since as you know that I modified this listing from 50 to 25. Obviously eBay still has 50. To confirm that, see my price here under start price is 25. If I go and see this listing on eBay, be on eBay, you will see the price of this listing is still 50. Obviously eBay has not modified because I never did. Now what happens if I refresh this listing from eBay? Let me click and refresh this from eBay. Now you would expect that since I'm refreshing, it should come back to 50, but no, because I modified the price to 25. So what Wunderlister does is it knows that you modified this locally and therefore any refresh from eBay is ignored. So this is something you should be aware of, that a listing that you have modified and saved locally, Wunderlister will not do a refresh from eBay. So what is the option for me? As I said, there are two options. One is you select that listing and submit to eBay. So then eBay and Wunderlister come in sync. Or you decide, okay, I made some changes which I no longer want to go to eBay. You select that listing, do a right click and say undo my changes. So if I undo my change, it comes with a warning message. If you click OK, it will be undo. So that listing is simply gone. You see it's no longer there. And the price has reverted back to whatever the price was. That is 50. So that's how this folder works. Next is scheduled listings. As the name indicates again, this in this shows you all those listings you have scheduled. Schedule is basically they will become active at some point in future. They're not active as of now. And you could do that using Wunderlister or you could do that directly on eBay. If you use eBay's scheduling feature, eBay charges you most eBay sites charge you do it have a fees for this. Whereas this feature is completely free on Wunderlister, provided you have at least a silver subscription. Okay, next folder, active listing, we just explained, is supposed to hold all the listings that are currently active on eBay. So you can see listing status showing active, active, and active. The next folder shows you fixed price active listing. So all the listing types should be fixed price here. On sale and not on sale. These folders hold respectively those items that may or may not be on sale. Sale is something like you have to put an item on sale. Let's say during Christmas, typically sellers would say like I am offering 10% sale during Christmas period. So those listings will appear in this folder, on sale folder. And the ones who are not on sale will be in this folder, not on sale folder. The next one, current price less than historical max. This folder needs a little bit explanation. Why do we have this folder and what is the purpose of this folder? It's a very little bit confusing to many people. So let me explain. Now, as I just said that there is a feature on eBay, they allow you to set a sale promotion. Like for example, during Christmas, you would have, let's say, 10% sale for the Christmas duration of, let's say, 1 week. Now, let's say you start off with a listing which is, say, $100, and you say you're offering for a week 10% discount. So during that week during which the sale promotion runs, eBay will display 10% down of 100, which is $90 now. So buyers will see a price of $90. So if somebody were to buy during that sale period, they will be buying at $90, not $100 or whatever the currency is. Now, let's say that listing ends without a sale. Nobody buys that listing and the sale has ended. Basically, the sale promotion has ended. A week has passed. Now at this point, eBay is supposed to revert back your price to original price, which was 100 because the sale is not there anymore. But what we have seen many times that eBay fails to do that. The price remains at $90. Did not revert back to 100. So basically your listing ended with $90. What happens now if I were to relist it? I'm obviously relisting at 90. And if I were to put again that listing on sale second time, so since I started with a lower price of 90 rather than 100, a 10% discount would be now $81. So if a buyer were to buy that listing, that buyer is buying that listing at $81 rather than $90. So, and if this process continued 3 or 4 times, you can see you have a potential to lose quite a bit of money. And when this was brought to our notice, we came up with a solution that we will now track for every listing created in Wunderlister. There is a maximum price, historical maximum price tracked. So initially the price of a listing that was $100 is where we started. So that has a historical max of 100. It was put on sale for 10%, so the price went down to 90, but maximum obviously still is 100. And then when that listing ended, a new listing, it was relisted. The newly created relisted listing will also have its historical max as 100, borrowed from the previous listing. And now if it is selling at, let's say, another 10% discount, which is $81, but its historical is still 100. Therefore, this folder will track that. And therefore, you will immediately know all such listings that are running at a price lower than their historical max. And since you have a list of those listings, you can do appropriate action, like revising In fact, we have a function where we can do this automatically for you. So if you click a list like these two listings, for example, I select these two listings and we have a function which says set current price to historical max price. That's what this function is supposed to do. So it will revert your price to original price before any sale ever happened, any sale promotion ever happened on that listing. So in our example case, as I mentioned, the listings would revert back to $100, not $81. Okay, moving on. Next is auction. And again, this auction active listings that are in auction format, if they are on sale or not on sale, respectively these two folders. Same as what we just talked about, fixed price on sale and not on sale. Past end time. Again, this is a little bit of a folder that it's a little bit people don't understand. Now, the time is of listing. Every listing has an end time. Now, whether that end time has is already gone in the past or not, how do you compare? That comparison is with respect to your computer's clock. We are assuming that your computer clock is set correctly, and obviously there is also a little bit of a lag time between Wunderlister and eBay. So things happen on eBay first, and after a few seconds, Wunderlister synchronizes with eBay. So there is always some time lag, maybe a few seconds, like 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds. But sometimes uh, eBay continues to report despite the fact that the listing end time has already gone in the past, but it continues to report that the listing is active. All such listings will appear in this folder. Now, if you see a lot of listings in this folder and they continue to remain, they should automatically be getting out of this folder over a period of time. But if they don't, click on this folder. Whenever the listings appear in the grid, select all of them and do a refresh from eBay by clicking on this refresh button. So that will, at that particular point in time, whenever you click the refresh button, whatever is the eBay is saying at that point, these listings will get refreshed. So hopefully they will get out of this. Potential duplicates folder, as the name indicates, that this is to avoid creating duplicates. Now, eBay has not published the exact definition of what they call duplicate. Is it just the title and the price, title, price, format, currency, site? What are the how many parameters are involved? We don't know. Pictures, description, we don't know, and they have not published. So Wunderlister tries to do this on its own, tries to see if eBay would or would not consider a listing you just created as a duplicate of an existing listing. And if Wunderlister thinks it could potentially be a duplicate, it will indicate it here. And you can click on this folder, see all your listings, and then edit those listings to make sure they are not duplicates. Because there is a very heavy penalty you pay if there are duplicate listings on eBay. The next one, out of stock folder. Now that's a feature on eBay where eBay allows you to keep your listing still active even though you are run out of stock. So how to do that is first you have to enable that feature within your My eBay on eBay's site. And that option exists in under your My eBay. So once you have enabled that feature, then you can edit your listings quantity to 0. And if you do that, then eBay will mark that listing as out of stock. The listing will still remain active, but will simply be out of stock. The buyers will not be able to search that listing. Buyers will not be able to see that listing. They will not obviously be able to buy it because they won't see it. Okay, the next, error in gallery picture. Now, what happens is when you have a listing and eBay creates the gallery picture from the first picture of your listing. Now, many times eBay fails to do that. So the gallery picture is not created successfully. So basically, eBay gives an error saying that, hey, I could not create a gallery picture, and this folder tracks all such listings. Question is, what can you do about it? Now, typically, we have seen that that's a transient error. Typically, eBay is able to resolve it on its own, and therefore the error should disappear after some time. But if it does not, it continues to be a problem and you want to deal with it yourself, you can click on this folder all your listings will display on the right hand side in the grid, like in this case. Select those listings, do a right click and re-upload all your images. Re-upload images. Since you're re-uploading all the images all over again, eBay will try to regenerate the gallery picture one more time, and hopefully this time it is successful. Okay, moving on. Missing SKU. Name is very clear. Listings that do not have a SKU. By the way, eBay calls this as custom label. So SKU and custom label, they are interchangeable names. Uh, Now on eBay, SKU or custom label is an optional field. But if you are selling on Amazon, Shopify, Etsy, or any other platform other than eBay, SKU is an absolutely mandatory field. Now, if you're already selling or plan to sell on other platforms, pay special attention to SKU. SKU must be unique for each unique product you have, because that's how all other channels work. So it will be very, very important to have the same data in eBay and on other channels. The SKU will become a very, very important field. Moving on, duplicate SKUs. Again, if a SKU is shared between multiple listings, that's where this will appear. Those listings will appear in this folder. Duplicate EANs. Again, instead of SKU, this time it is EAN number that's duplicated. EAN is for European countries, European article number. It's like UPC in US. Next, ended or slash completed listings are those that have ended on eBay or completed on eBay is the same thing. So these listings are no longer available for sale. Buyers will not find these listings by search, and they will not be able to buy using those listings. The next one, sold listings, indicates those that a buyer has bought. Now this folder includes listings that have partial sale. For example, you could have a listing with 10 quantity and only 4 got sold by the time it ended. So it's a partial case of partial sale. So even a partial sale listing is still under sold. Actually, it is displayed under both sold and unsold. Okay, sold off eBay. Now this is a feature we added quite some time back to track your sales outside of eBay. So basically the listing remain unsold on eBay, but let's say it got sold on Amazon. Now obviously you want to take this listing out of eBay, as well as somehow to indicate that this listing this there was a sale on Amazon. So basically you click on unsold folder, you will see all your unsold folders, and let's say this particular listing actually got sold on Amazon. So all you have to do is to click here and say mark as sold off eBay. So and then this will move this listing into sold off eBay. So any listing let's say sold off eBay, you can see sold off eBay is right here. This listing has moved, and now it's taken out of unsold. Auctions, so these are unsold auctions instead of these unsold fixed price unsold auctions. Now under auctions I have eligible for relist fee credit. Now this again is the eBay feature that probably needs a little bit explanation. A lot of people don't know about this credit available to them. How this works is that first this applies only to auctions and not to fixed price. So say you have an auction listing and that ended without a sale first time. So what do? You typically would do a relist if you want to obviously you want to sell it. eBay wants you to sell it as well because they can charge you final value fee when it sells. So they give you a carrot for listing it again. So what you do is you relist it, and let's say next time after you relist it, it sells. So eBay will give you the insertion fee back when you did the relist because you incurred a fee during relisting. So that insertion fee will be credited to your account by eBay if it sells the second time. So that's those are the listings that are eligible for that fee that are shown here. But please note, as I said, this is only applies to auctions, and also you have to relist within a specified period. Believe it is 45 days after the listing ended. You have to relist within 45 days. but please check with eBay's documentation as things change. Okay, the next one is not relisted. Again, the name is very clear. These are the listings you have not relisted as yet. So you can go ahead relist, but there is a caveat that you should know about. So eBay keeps your, let's say a listing, you created a listing on eBay and it ended without any sale. Now, since it has ended, eBay is going to keep, even if it is sold, eBay keeps that listing, ended listings, only for a certain period of time. Believe it is 60 days or 90 days, depending on your subscription to Sales Manager or SM Pro. Now, irrespective of what the time period is, the fact is that eBay will not keep your listing forever. The listing will be deleted after a period of time. Whereas in Wunderlister, your listings will remain permanently forever unless you decide to delete them manually yourself. So it is possible that this folder not relisted is showing you listings that had actually ended on eBay, let's say 90 days back. Therefore, eBay most likely won't even have it anymore. If you try to relist such a listing, eBay will come back with an error saying you are trying to relist a listing that eBay does not even have. Therefore, relisting is not possible. In that case, relisting will fail. But you can always duplicate that listing and submit to eBay after making changes to the duplicated listing. Basically, you're starting all over again as a fresh listing rather than doing a relist. That's the difference between these two. Okay, the last folder I have is archived. As I explained, archived listing is a place instead of deleting, you are better off doing archive. All listings that are archived do not appear in any other folder other than this. In fact, default search within Wunderlister will not find listings in archived folder, but you do have the option to include archived or not archived within your search. So, but by default it won't appear. So that brings us to an end to this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you do have any questions or need any clarifications, please feel free to contact our support team at support@wunderlister.com. Thank you for watching.